I did. Identities. That's not even a word. Identities. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. What would be the definition of that? Identities. Okay. So if I have time, well, I'll show you why these work in a second. The first one is that the cosine, so I'll write number 1, the cosine squared of an angle plus the sine squared of that same angle is always going to equal 1. The second identity is 1 plus tangent squared of the angle equals secant squared. And the third is cotangent squared theta plus 1 equals cosecant squared theta. Okay. When we get into chapter or section 2, I will actually, using trig properties, prove 2 and 3. But let me show you why 1 is true a second. Remember on the unit circle, what was the radius of the unit circle? So I'm going to randomly put some angle. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say it's exact. There's theta, right? And the radius of the unit circle is 1. If I would make or drop this down, straight down, okay, do you see how it forms a triangle? Okay. And we've talked about how in this ordered pair up here, it's cosine, comma, sine, correct? And we memorized some exact ones. Well, put the cosine on the triangle then. Which piece is it? Isn't it down here? From here to here? Then the sine would be how high the triangle is from here to here. So explain to me then why number 1 is true. It has to do with the title of the identity, the Pythagorean theorem. Exactly. So in the unit circle, if that is true, and that's true for any angle, then the cosine squared, that's like the leg squared, plus the leg squared has to equal 1 squared. That's where that comes from. And 1 squared is 1. Okay? All right, so let me show you an example of how we're going to use the Pythagorean identities and then the cofunction identities. So here's my example. We're going to find secant theta, cosine theta, cosecant theta, if tangent of theta equals 3. And I'll give you one more piece of information because in a second we're going to be squaring things and taking square roots. I'm going to tell you that the secant of theta is greater than 0, and that just means it's positive. Okay. So what do I give you? Tangent. Which of the Pythagorean identities above involves tangent? The second one. So would you agree then, if I could take the tangent and square it, couldn't I figure out what the secant squared is? Isn't that one of the things I asked you to find? Cool. All right, so that's what we're going to do first. We're going to do 1 plus tan squared equals secant squared. And we're going to put in the 3. So 1 plus 3 squared equals secant squared. So what does secant squared equal then? 10. Very good. But I wanted to find secant, right? So what should I do? Take the square root of both sides, but when I do that, I have to add a plus or minus. Did I tell you something else in the problem to decide which one to choose? I said that the secant was positive, so I'm gonna pick positive root 10. I'm not going to try to simplify it. All right. We're not going to be using our calculators here. We're going to use all properties. What else do you know? And you can look at your trig property sheet at the top if I tell you what the secant is.
Reciprocal.
Yep. So if secant and cosine are reciprocals, and I know secant is root 10, then cosine is 1 over root 10. Very nice. Okay, so that's using really this second one. But shoot, now, so I found secant and cosine. Now I have to find cosecant. Well, what do I need up here to find cosecant? Cotangent. Do I know cotangent? Is there a relationship between tangent and cotangent? Yeah. If the tangent is 3, what is the cotangent? Very nice. Okay, so now we're going to go through again, and we're going to use the third Pythagorean identity to find cosecant. So I'm going to write the second one, cotangent squared plus 1 equals cosecant squared. I'm going to leave them as fractions. I'm going to not use my calculator. We can do that in our heads. 1/3 squared plus 1 equals cosecant squared. And to square a fraction, I square the numerator and denominator. So what's 1/3 squared? 1/9. Because I'm going to add these fractions together, I'm going to rewrite 1 as 9/9. So cosecant squared is 10/9. Alright, so I'm going to take the square root, plus or minus, of both sides. And then I'll tell you my reasoning here, okay? If these are all positive, I'm going to also pick the positive here because tangent was positive and also secant was positive. So, if secant is positive, that means cosine is positive, right? And tangent is sine over cosine, so in order to get a positive here, they would both have to be positive on numerator and denominator. So that's my reasoning there. So I'm going to pick positive root 10 over 9. Ooh, can't I simplify that to root 10 over 3? When you take a square root, you can simplify. We don't know the square root of 10, but we know the square root of 9 on the bottom. So it's the square root of 10 divided by 3.